My man, Stephen Borrelli. Good to talk to you, buddy.
Good to talk to you too, brother.
I miss you. We were in contact a lot for a while, and I think since all the tariff stuff, you've just been heads down. I've just been heads down, just like everyone else, and we haven't really caught up. I've been seeing your tweets, and I appreciate the honesty and sincerity of your tweets, and so I actually missed yesterday's pod because I was so jet lagged from China. Yeah, I got back from China on Monday. I left China Monday at 3 p.m. and I got back Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and then like I wound up whatever. I went to bed at like 9 p.m. and I got up at like 3 a.m. On Tuesday, right? And then so on Tuesday, I'm like, all right, I got to figure out a way to get some sleep tonight. And I booked a massage. There's this massage service called Zeal. It's like a subscription service. It's such a funny story.
Zeal, I need to check it out.
Zeal, Zeel. And like right before the pandemic, like in 2019, my wife subscribed to it for me. And I was getting, like a monthly massage or whatever. They come to your house. But then during the pandemic, like everything shut down and we totally forgot about it, right? And then like we kept getting the bills. And then 2 years later, my father-in-law is like, "Hey, you got like $3,000 in bills I've been getting from this Zeal. Who is it?" So I had like $3,000 worth of massages, and we called them up and we're like, "That's fine. We'll credit them. Just use them all." Right? So anyway, I've had like, massages prepaid for years. And so anyway, so this woman comes over and she's amazing. And I had like a 90-minute massage and she wound up going like almost 2 hours. So it's by the time she's done, it's almost 10. I get into bed and I took a little sleep aid, and I slept until 7:55 and I totally missed yesterday's pod. So I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Let me, here's a good idea. Let's chill with Steve and have a chat.
Yeah. I mean, I have a similar story. Whenever I go to China, I take a sleep aid. And one of the times, me and Sean, our VP of Ops, who I think you've met, we got back from Vietnam. And then instead of going straight to China, we came back to US for like 3 or 4 days. And then we had to go to China. It was before we really knew what we were doing as a business. So like we thought we needed to go there, which we didn't. And we ended up going back and we were just, beat up. And we took a sleep aid, and I remember it said like 14 hours or something. And we took it, and then like I woke up, and he's like, "Don't look at the time. It's been like 20 minutes." We literally thought it had been 20 minutes. We had slept 13 hours on the phone. I'm like, dude, we're gonna be there in like 40 minutes. It was like one of those time travel things, and then we woke up and we felt great. It was incredible.
Yeah, amazing.
Fulfill ad. Let's go. The big pink elephant in the room is the economic climate. No one knows what's happening. We're heading into a tough period for e-commerce brands. Mike shared this on LinkedIn recently. Brands are looking inward and figuring out how to save money while improving their operations and making them more efficient. If you want to cut spending and drive efficiency, use Fulfill. You don't need 5 different tools. So if you're looking to consolidate SaaS, it's a proven, awesome service for your operations. You can use Fulfill. If you're looking to use more AI in operations and accounting, you can use Fulfill. If your EIP is crippling your business, use Fulfill. What is most crucial for every brand out there is to cut costs. I talk about it many times. NetSuite's overpriced. It costs too much to maintain, and they will screw you on a renewal. If you're using NetSuite, you should absolutely move to Fulfill. I didn't even look at NetSuite. I've been on Fulfill for 5 years. It is more efficient when it comes to order management, warehouse management. We do resource planning in there. We do our accounting in there now. They helped us set up a warehouse, a factory, everything else. So thank you, Fulfill. It's been a great partner. Thank you for sponsoring the podcast. And saving money is now even more important than it's ever been. You should look at Fulfill. They can hopefully save you money. Goodbye.
So, yeah, I wanted to give some insights from my my China trip, and I thought that it dovetailed really well with what's going on with you. But I wanted to first see. I wanted to give you like a voice, an audience, because I think the operators, fans, or many of them are struggling with what's going on with tariffs, and I think it probably would feel good for them to hear what's going on with you and your thoughts. And please only share what you're comfortable sharing, right? Like I know this is all
there's
a
some stuff I
lot
don't
going on
share,
here.
but I mean, so fast forward to why I wrote that tweet. So a lot of the Trump team is like distant friends of ours. We've seeded them, and I knew that I had a unique perspective to be a voice. One, I've been in e-commerce for a while. We operate, our tagline is for the sport of business. So the speaking out on of it was true to the brand too. I usually don't get political because it doesn't make sense with all these other things going on with political. It doesn't affect the brand, but this one did. And I was actually on a 3-day fast when I did it too. I do a 3-day fast every, like once a quarter. And I just felt like I was called to say something. And I wrote the tweet coming from the perspective of, hey, Trump, I voted for you 3 times. I believe in your mission. Don't forget about us. Give us more time, essentially. And here are the reasons why. And when I read it, I was like, I think this is going to go viral. And, I think the tricky part about what Trump's done is it's just not considering the timeline that businesses operate under, that they can't move tomorrow, and it can drastically hurt businesses. I was talking to Ryan over at Flexport, and he was saying how hundreds of thousands of businesses, if the China tariff isn't changed, will go out because 145% is not a tariff; it's really an embargo. Like you can't even sell those items, or it's really difficult on your P&L. And if you don't have that level of cash, I mean, to use simple math, let's say you have $5 million worth of inventory in China, that inventory went up 100% plus our tariff rate is actually 160% because it's even more than 145% because of the 301 tariff as well. So that's like, all of a sudden that same inventory cost you 12, 13 million. I don't know. A lot of business, you can't raise prices to cover that. So I think, I just wanted him aware of like, hey, the people that voted for the backbone of what the American dream is today is me. We didn't raise money. We've scaled to, we've sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of clothing. And this is really scary for us. Like, we can get into the solutions that we found, but, just set the stage. Someone needs to voice up of like, this will hurt our businesses and it will hurt them fast if it doesn't get resolved.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing this throughout the community, right? We have built an incredible e-commerce and retail community here. It started, Sean Frank started a bunch of chats that I was invited to. You're in a bunch of them. The operators network with now 3 podcasts has come out of it because we have, we want to give a voice and share information for this incredible community that we have here. And look, I agree with you. And I actually have, I don't speak much about politics because I have a fiduciary duty to Hexclad, and our position is to not be political on most things. But I will say, like, I'm generally a centrist, and I felt that there were some really good aspects of Trump's platform, and the tariff one was always one that I did not like, and I'm really disappointed the way this has gone, and I think it's just incredibly short-sighted, and like you said, like there's no time. There's just no time. Like, and I want to go into the history of this a little bit, and it relates to my trip to China, which I just had. I embarrassed to say that this was my first trip to Asia.
That's wild.
I've been able to, we have a great team at Hexclad, and like Danny and Cole have gone a million times, and like they're the experts. And so even the last few years after COVID, when they have gone, I've just sort of been the one, what is it? They like, in the cabinet where one guy stays back, what's that during like the State of the Union address? What's that called? What's that TV show? It was a good TV show.
The Lone Survivor.
Yeah. Like I'm like the potential lone survivor, right? So I would hang back, but Cole decided not to go on this trip because he wanted to go to Coachella and stagecoach um, for the first
Good
time,
man.
and so I took this trip, and it was an incredible trip, and it was really eye opening, and I want to share my thoughts on it, and then get
Yeah.
your reaction, um, but look, I'm 54 years old this year. Okay, I've been through the .com era, the global financial crisis. I've seen a lot of economic shocks. When I was a lawyer, most people don't even know what this is, but I worked on the bailout of long-term capital management in 1997, there was a great book written about it. It was a major economic shock. And I've seen a lot, and I'm a student of financial history. I have an MBA from Columbia Business School. I've read every finance book on the planet in my 30s, and I'm a CFA charter holder. And so, like, I understand the history of economics and finance. And first of all, like, tariffs have not been used much successfully, certainly in our lifetimes, in my lifetime, right? And so there's a reason for that. Like the economic theory surrounding tariffs. If it was so strong, like, why hasn't it been used more by the United States over time? But more importantly, when the United States and the world allowed China to join the WTO and opened and essentially pushed globalization for decades, this system was constructed under which much American manufacturing disappeared. And I'm not saying that was good or bad, probably bad. But like, this took decades to change, right? This system was built over decades, and it cannot be unwound in months, right? And that's what's going on. It's like, that's the problem. And that's what you're saying, right? And that's what I'm saying. And it's like, look, you could incentivize people or you can penalize people. And this penal route makes no sense. And everyone is saying, okay, well, look, either this is just negotiation and Trump is just negotiating and it's going to change, or they're saying, well, China is just going to fold.
Most brands are leaving money on the table with SMS. Not Ridge. SMS is our number one revenue driver, and PostScript is the reason why. SMS is an email. If you treat it like email, you're doing it wrong. PostScript gets it. They help brands like ours turn SMS into high margin, high ROI machines. We stopped wasting sends, okay? We would just randomly blast text to people. That was a bad move. PostScript dialed in our automations and subscriber LTV tracking. Then they brought us more subscribers, and more subscribers equals more cash. List growth isn't about getting numbers up. It's getting buyers in. Then they have AI-powered SMS. Instant conversions. They call it infinity testing, one of the coolest names in all of SaaS. We use it every time we send an SMS out. PostScript auto-optimizes for profit, and we're not getting fined. One SMS compliance mistake is a lawsuit. So PostScript is building for the modern industry to take into account all these ever-changing laws. The bottom line is brands are winning at SMS via PostScript. The results for 2024, Ridge had 1 million opt-ins, okay? We had 500,000 new subs, and we drove, I'm going to tell you guys, over $40 million in SMS revenue, and it's 100% increase year over year. The ROI is insane, 100x plus ROI on SMS for Ridge. So if you want to try SMS like the pros, like Ridge, check out PostScript today. Thank you guys for being here.
So what do you go ahead. Tell me what you think about what I just said.
No, I mean, I think one on the part about for our industry, it left in the apparel manufacturing left LA in the 80s, and it's so funny. Consumers like, oh, made in LA is so much better. It's dog shit compared to where China is. I can put my fingers on the floor in China and not get any dirt on them. It's so clean. The machines are way more advanced. There's way less human hands. The precision's better. The strings are tighter. It's just better. So bringing it back overnight, would just take billions of dollars to do. So that's point number one. Like you mentioned, I agree. It probably wasn't the right thing. We probably shouldn't have done that. I think apparel specifically is a great nation building manufacturing job, meaning people that come over that want to create a dream for themselves. It can be a great way. Look at China. Over 30 years, those people that were factory workers, their sons and daughters are now working at the best tech companies. And that was a huge mistake. But to your point, if you want to bring that back, it needs investment and it can't happen overnight. That's point number one. Point number two is the penalizing consumers or brands like us. And what is Trump's strategy? It's either two things. One, there's a negotiation happening right now, and he's using all of this as leverage to get what he wants, which appears to be manufacturing back in the U.S. for two big things: chip making and auto. And the third thing is lowering the tariffs when we sell products in China to help U.S. companies. That's kind of what I've been hearing. So on the surface, I agree with that. Now, the execution of it is the part that I been saying that I'm really struggling with. If you're going to do that, but it costs thousands of businesses to go under, I don't know if it's worth it. Using one of my friend's brands, he's mainly a wholesale business. He's missed 2 orders. Each of those orders were going to make him $500K. That's $1 million of cash he lost, and now he's $1 million of inventory he doesn't know what to do with. He's a much smaller business than Cuts, and I don't know if he's going to make it. And that already happened in 20 days because those wholesalers won't accept those orders. It was a spring order. It's too late. So this cannot go on much longer. Like another 30 days, it hurts even more business. Another 90 days, it just wipes out like a ton of businesses. And so I've been vocal about it. It feels like we're running towards an iceberg, and that iceberg is going to crash the ship, and someone's got to scream it. And that's what I was hoping to do. I'm glad
you did it. I'm glad you did it. And that's why I wanted to do this pod with you. I wanted you to talk more about it, and I want to add some color to it as well, because I definitely have some experience and thoughts around it. Look, what you said about manufacturing quality is so true. When I was a kid in the 70s and 80s, there was this thought that cheap products from China, right? Like that was in the 70s and 80s. That is no longer the case. And then in the 90s, when I was in college, and what professors talked about was that the US had become a service economy, right? And that is what our economy had become. And our economy became very much dominated by financial services at the time. Like GE, General Electric, was actually a major financial services company, like in the 90s and 2000s. Like that, people don't realize that, but that's like GE Finance was like that was their biggest business. They still made turbines and things like that, but so the industry was moved, right? Manufacturing was moved for most things, and the United States became a really a finance-driven economy. And then the rise of tech occurred, right? Which was amazing, because now if you look at the stock market, so much of the market cap of the stock market is now tech companies. It used to be, first it was manufacturing companies, then it was financial services companies, and now it's tech companies, right? So tech is where the leadership comes from, right? And so it's like, you should say to yourself, why do I even want to manufacture anything in the United States that's not tech, right? Like, why? Now, the reason is probably because we have to have some base so that we're not we can't be held hostage by any other nation, right? From like a national security perspective, I get that. But it's just simply not possible to do what you do in the United States. And it's simply not possible for Hexclad to do what we do.
I bet the machinery is
in the United States.
Like, how much? What do you think the investment would be in the U.S.? Like if you really had to do that, if someone gave you a blank check and said, "All right, next,"
I forget about even quantifying it, right? Let's talk about like even if we had unlimited capital. I went to our factory in China, and we talked to other producers in other countries, right? So that we are as prudent business people, we can manufacture outside of China. But the question of really manufacturing out of the U.S., we're looking at each other, we're looking at this factory, and we're like, there's no way we could do this. There's like literally no way we could do this. The machinery is so advanced. The automation is so advanced. And by the way, I look at our factory, like you talked about it being clean and like the next generations of people in those factories. Look, we could talk about China and the political regime and human rights and individual rights and freedoms. And those are all big issues, right? For sure. But fundamentally, what's going on in China to a very large extent? The American dream is going on in China. The people that work in our factory have a great job, a better job than their predecessors had, right?
Yeah.
Their predecessors were doing much more menial working in the rice paddies. That is not a racist thing. That is actually what they did, right? And so now they're working in the factory. And it's a hard job, but you know what? Working in a factory is a hard job. I wouldn't want to have to do that job, but I also have 3 degrees to not have to do that job, right? But you know what? You work in the factory, on the line, doing whatever, operating machines with a significant amount of automation, and then you work hard. And what happens? You get promoted, right? You get promoted. You become a supervisor. You continue to get promoted if you are good at your job, and you build a better life for your children, and they go to good schools, and they get better jobs, and they work at tech companies, and like that's like the evolution of society, and that's what's happening there. And again, like my view of China was colored by what I've heard, right, from the media.
Yeah, what was the difference, like over what you heard and what you witnessed last week?
Yeah, well, look, everyone talks about like the sweatshops and the kids working and crazy stuff like that, which is, I didn't see any of that. Maybe it exists, but I'll tell you, like, more broadly, I really think Americans underestimate how formidable China is as a nation. Seriously. Like, China's industrial power is immense. I don't see any other country matching it because they just don't have the natural resources, the population, the land mass. I mean, the scale is amazing.
It's incredible. When you go there, you're like,
the speed of construction is remarkable. And like, people talk about them cutting corners and on safety, on buildings, etc. I mean, all I saw was lots of big buildings everywhere.
Have you been to Shanghai?
We have a team. We have a team in Shanghai. I've not been there, but I'm going in October. I think I only went to Guangzhou and in the south. Yeah. But like, also from what I saw, the people seem pretty happy. Like, you can walk the streets at midnight in Guangzhou and they are totally safe and clean. I was with our.
I've seen the biggest rat in Guangzhou. I'll never forget, but that's a different story.
Well, I was walking around like the central business district, and look, we both did, and like, I'm just saying, like, you could walk around anywhere in the city. I was walking around at midnight. It was so funny. We went to dinner at like a hot pot place, and my country manager in China, she's local Chinese, was like, oh, if you want, we can get a foot massage after dinner. And I'm like, I love me a good massage, especially we were walking a lot. I played golf. We went to the Canton Fair. Like, my feet were tired. We go at 11 o'clock at night to this like really nice spa that's open till 3 a.m. And I got a foot massage and a pedicure at 11 o'clock at night. It was like life changing, like,
you got to give that to me.
It was crazy.
And take the high-speed train over, or you're staying in Guangzhou?
No, we flew directly to Guangzhou this time. It was a really short trip. We went to Tokyo for 2 nights because we have a team in Tokyo. And I was so excited to go to Tokyo because I've never been there. And I'm really pumped about like Hexclad Japan like our brand is really starting to take off. I'm so excited about that. So I know I realized after this trip that I need to be there more, but like so we just went Tokyo, went straight to Guangzhou, and then we went a little further south because we have factory partners south of Guangzhou in Jiangmen and Foshan.
Okay, I have some news to share and take a little break from the episode. After Sean sort of started talking about Rich Panel, I actually moved PeliCase to Rich Panel about 4 months ago. And I wanted to share some stats with you on how this is going for us. Our customer service, our CSAT, is at an all-time high. Like we're at 90+% since moving. And you guys know this, like if you've listened to the show, I'm not a fan of Trustpilot. I think their SEO game is great, but I think the company is awful. I think they're extortionists. I hate their business practice. And I think Rich Panel has helped Pila actually increase our Trustpilot score without me having to pay the mafias, I like to call them. So most people have to pay Trustpilot to do review programs just to boost their ratings. Like I said, it's extortion. And all we did was just use Rich Panel and better processes that Rich Panel enables to actually get that up. Our self-service rate is over 50%, which is amazing because that's more than 50% of our users actually use, like they self-service themselves, which is less work for us. And all of these improvements came at a great price. I think we saved 50% of our SaaS costs on customer service by moving to Rich Panel. So look, all this to say, they offer a 60-day money-back guarantee on any annual plan. This is a no-brainer. Because of this success, I'm moving my second brand, Lomi, to Rich Panel as well. As you know, on this show, we only take sponsorship dollars from people we use. So I think if you're looking to improve these things when it comes to customer experience, Rich Panel is an awesome option. I think most of us use this now. So go check it out. Thanks for listening. Let's get back to the show.
So running an e-commerce business at scale isn't just about great products and marketing. It's about precision. And when you're operating at a high level, 99.9% accuracy stops being nice to have and becomes non-negotiable. That's why I'm excited to talk about our experience working with Tariffs Analytics. They've given us real visibility into the numbers that matter. Things like product level COGS, supply chain costs, inventory optimization, all of our marketing metrics. That's just the start. We're estimating 2 to 5% efficiency boost across the board, improving customer retention, making our marketing dollars work harder, and ensuring we're operating smarter as we're getting bigger. These aren't just minor wins. They compound over time to make a huge difference in profitability. But what I really love, the cultural shift this brings. When teams have clarity on the data, collaboration improves. Finance, marketing, and operations aren't just working in silos anymore. They're making decisions together with the same source of truth. It's not just about insights. It's about execution. I talk about this all the time, execution. So if you're scaling your e-com brand and need that kind of accuracy and efficiency, you need to talk to Tariffs Analytics. It's been a game changer for us. Like the other thing that was really interesting to me is that how few people really spoke English. And
yeah, that's wild.
I actually think this is a sign that China is not so beholden to us, to the United States. And I know that if you go to Shanghai, like a lot of people speak English, and of course they do in Hong Kong. And I mean, my experience is only Guangzhou, so people could call me out, tell me I'm wrong about everything. That's fine. I'm just telling you my experience. But the United States, I believe, is 10% of China's production, right? So like if you had to contract your business by 10%, that would not be great, but you probably would survive, right? And especially if you're a huge business. And China is essentially a huge business. So I just don't see China folding. And everyone I talked to there was basically like, our government is not going to fold. And not that they were glad that was the case necessarily, but it's like, the old saying, like, markets can be irrational longer than you can be solvent, right? It's sort of like analogous to that. Like, China can deal with this if they want to for a very long time. And I don't know if we can.
And that's the part too. Like I've been in negotiations with pricing of trying to, lower pricing or change this factory. And whenever I go there, I've had really great experiences with our Chinese factories around tough conversations, and the way we go about it is much more. Hey, we don't even talk negotiations until the last day after they took us to all their favorite restaurants where we eat their food, where we break bread and we talk. And then the last thing is, hey, we get into it. They always want to make sure that you're a long-term partner and that there's a future together if they're going to give you anything. And I think the door in the face strategy that we've been doing is it can cause great offense. And then it's sort of like, if someone throws a door in your face, are you going to be like, all right, well, let's cowboy up, let's go. Like, let's put my hands up, versus if you're going to sit at dinner table, then you had someone's guard down and then you work on it. Now,
the cultural differences are immense, right?
Yeah,
and it's certainly like a lot different than DJT
and
approach.
And part of my tweet I wanted to say is like, look, there's so much stuff that me and you have no clue about. And I trust that there's like, Besant came out. He seems like a smart guy. It's hard for me to believe that Howard Lutnick, he seems like I heard him on All In. He seems like a really smart guy. I trust that those guys know what they're doing and they've talked to people like us. But what I thought was happening was the e-commerce bubble of people that sell things online that aren't. I mean, you guys are maybe classify as this bigger company, but like the companies like Cuts that have had a lot of success, that are living the American dream, have good incomes and things like that, were just like kind of in the crosshairs. And that was my worry that, okay, they're thinking of like GM Motors and Apple and those, but the gig economy or people that have started their own businesses, bootstrap, that have had a lot of success. All right, that industry is just going to crash and that's going to get wiped out. And that was really sad to me. I did get confirmation yesterday that Trump actually saw my tweet and like was seeing it. So that was really cool for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, absolutely. And I wonder, because a lot of people have been talking about, how do we have a voice, right? How does our community, e-com, retail, like, how do we have a voice? And I want to applaud you for coming out and doing that. And I really wonder, because people are thinking about lobbying and how do we do it? And, we've talked to people and we don't have connections in the Trump administration necessarily. And like a lot of people think, well, we're so small, like how does anyone even care, right? There actually was a call organized by some other D2C cookware brands to talk about it. I don't know I wasn't on the call, so I don't know how it went, but like, do you have any thoughts? Are you doing anything besides your tweet? Is there a way, because there are certainly categories like yours and ours, right, which are not like national security threats to not have manufacturing here, right? And like what could people do? What should people do? Do you have any thoughts or ideas on that?
One, I think you got to take care of your business. I would say hoard cash like no one's business. Don't spend money. Don't pay vendors. Don't do anything like that until the tariffs get settled out. And so that's the first thing I told younger brands, is just like, hey, tell your suppliers if you're on terms, especially if you have the inventory, just say, hey, we're on a complete freeze of paying anybody right now. As long as the business operations don't get messed up, that's what I would do. And that's what we're doing to kind of see what happens. Because you want to take care of your business. Second is just, I think, speak from the heart. Like put a tweet out there. You never know who could see it. You can, I've been, ever since that tweet, my inbox on Twitter is like hundreds of groups trying to get me to like, speak with them. And I don't know if that's necessarily, like, I think those, if someone's got to, in with one of those guys that I just mentioned, I think you should definitely do it. But I think more and more, like, Twitter to me is actually a pretty good place to speak up, because I do believe those guys are on it. You know, my tweet got, you know, a couple million views, and then the podcast I was on with Jason also got like several million views, and I think it really actually, you know, spoke up for our industry, and I think it at least brought awareness to it and say, hey, this is going to really hurt. If that's all it did, I think that's a plus. I think the first thing you got to do is take care of your business. Jason, I'm curious for you guys. The question I would ask you is, tell me if I'm missing anything. Hoard cash, don't pay any people from China yet, and just be honest and say, hey, until this is figured out, we're not going to make any payments. You know, do layoffs, you know, kind of manage your balance sheet in a better way. Also, like luckily last year we started placing POs in other countries in prep for this, but a lot of the inventory that is in Q1 was from POs before this all became a thing. Like what else do you do? What else have you guys done that maybe I didn't mention there?
Well, we're very fortunate in many ways, Hexclad as a brand, and I don't want to get into too much detail about us except to say, like, you know, we have sort of different levels of tariff. And our blended tariff rate is way lower than yours, first of all. So, which is it definitely still hurts, but it's way lower than yours. And we've always run, because we're a bootstrap business too, and we're a high AOV business. Like, we've always had really strong margins at Hexclad. Like, we're very fortunate for that. That's Danny and Cole started the business and ran it that way from day one, because no one would give them money. And we never, ever overextended. Like, we've always held the line on margin. But we definitely are like being very careful on additional hiring. We basically have, you know, frozen hiring for like, unless it's just like a need that we need, right? Like that is absolutely essential. We have all of our vendors. We have reached out to all of our vendors regard like for all kind of operating expenses, etc. And we let them know where we're at, and we're asking them to be good partners and help us. In terms of manufacturing, we have our main cookware manufacturer is a company that we've kind of really grown up with together. Like, as we've scaled from, you know, 0 to over 500 million, since 20, I think the first Costco pan was sold in November of 2017. So like since then, and it's really been the same partner from the beginning. And it was like amazing to go to their factory and see what they built, right?
Too. We have that too with our main one. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a really special, I mean, we're like family, right? You know, we're like family. So when we go sit with them, like our meeting with them it's, you know, there's a lot of smiling, you know, there's Danny, you know, being the charming guy that he is, like making jokes and then the man who created our factory, you know, giving us a tour and showing all the incredible automation that he's built. And we're all so proud of it. And so we're working together, like in partnership to solve the problems. And there's no question that this is hurting everyone's margins. And we are no exception. But one of the things that I've done is I've turned down marketing spend. Okay.
Yeah, to increase contribution margin. Yeah, we have too. I will say this: I am really impressed with how it's worked for us. Right. So
for us,
as a percent of spend, maybe give the audience and me a question. So let's say it was X. What percent has it decreased of a percent of revenue?
I'll just say like our MER is up over 40%. Right. So that's kind of like
it's got to be down what, 20%?
Yeah, easily. And we're still growing.
You guys are just a savage. You guys are a beast. I love Hexclad out there is like, if I had to pick a product to do again, I would pick what you guys do. High AOV, very giftable, great product. I gave all my execs, Jason hooked it up, and they were like going berserk. And I just saw the magic when I gave it to them. I could see it on their faces. Like, you have a Hexclad? And everyone, so Jason, every year I'm going to ask for those products.
I love it. I love it. It's really the most rewarding part of the job. We do like small events, and we sponsored the Pebble Beach Food and Wine Festival because I have a house in Carmel and I love it up there, and there's like a lot of top chefs that come there, so it's like a win-win for me. And we've done it a couple of years in a row, and this year we went up there and it was really fun because all of the big chefs, they love us. And I'm not like being cocky when I say that. It's like the level of respect we have done something really special. Danny and Cole had a great idea. Danny had a vision to make Hexclad the badass cookware brand. And when I came on board, I embraced that vision, and together we were like, we're going to create a lifestyle brand based on a great product. And we're going to make cooking fun and cool and innovative. But it all starts with a great product. And Cuts was like literally one of the first D2C purchases that I ever made. Like it was probably in 2016 or 2017.
Wow.
And I literally look at, if I go in my cabinet, like, I live in a loft, so I have no closets. I had to have all these big cabinets built. And if I look at the number, I'm wearing golf attire today because I might play 9 holes late this afternoon. But like, I have so many Cuts Henleys. I have like basically 4 of every color. And I literally wore a different color Cuts Henley every day that I was in China, and everyone was commenting on my arms. It was so funny.
Danny would look good in them.
He has some. He does actually. He likes them. He has some. So,
quick break from the pod. We are talking Northbeam and their new release of Clicks and Views Enhanced. If you're like us and you use Northbeam as your source of truth, amazing. If you don't, you should check them out. But if you are on the platform, they are now putting out a views enhanced model for attribution. I think this is a pretty big shift in the platform. I'm pretty excited for it. If you have run anything that is very impression or view based, so like TikTok, YouTube, television, these platforms have been notoriously difficult to track in Northbeam and anywhere else. It drives companies like ours nuts. I'm very stoked for this release from Northbeam. They are now taking like click data, which is your source of truth, and they are layering on impression data and doing whatever black magic Northbeam does to give you a better view into the performance of your ads. I love this. I can't wait to check it out. I think everybody else should too.
One thing I would mention that I think what helps me during these moments maybe the most is like, this is the sport of business. Like this is the game we signed up for. So like, it sucks, but like with every challenges comes new opportunities. And like, you hear like when you read the book Shoe Dog with Nike, like they through his first 12 years, after 12 years of in the game, he had to go get a job at being a professor because he couldn't pay himself anymore after 12 years. So when I hear stuff like this, I'm just like, this is just that season that you got to like buckle in, harness tight, and get excited to go through it. Because on the other end of it, I think is just one, you're more battle tested. You'll have a lot of personal growth through it, as well as like, this is what makes the greats the great, is like getting crafty, getting through it. Speaking up, writing a letter that the president maybe saw, like all of that stuff is like where like the challenges is what makes it great. And
it focuses the mind, right? Mm-hmm. I am sure you're as locked in on business as you have ever been, because you have to. I know I am very locked in right now, mm-hmm. and it actually feels great. Like I'm like, I have so much energy for work right now.
Yeah, me too.
Like when you're like crushing it with no adversity, it's like, oh, let's hire more people, and I can delegate more, and I'll give people a chance to make their decisions, and now it's like, okay, wait a minute, like, bosses have to boss now, right? And I don't care if you don't agree with my decision. Like,
we're going, yeah.
This is what's happening, guys. And if you don't like it, you don't need to be a part of it, right? And I would say it's a really good time to really sharpen your focus and see
I was just
what do
about
you
to say
really,
that.
what do you really
Yeah.
need as a business, because when
That's-
things are going well, like I used to see this investment banking all the time. In the boom time in investment banking, like people would staff up. And every time there was like any uncertainty or recession, they would fire a bunch of people. And I hated that. And I was like, God damn, like they just cut off their arm like every 4 or 5 years in investment banking. Like that's crazy. And I still don't like it, but I kind of understand it a little better now, where it's like, this is your opportunity to prune a little bit, to clean a little bit. And hopefully you don't have to clean a lot. Hopefully you don't have to prune a lot. Hopefully a lot of people do right now. And I know how hard it is for you, dude. And I reached out to you to talk today because we hadn't spoken. And I want you to know that I admire you very much. And I wish, I hope that things get resolved for you in a good way. And I applaud you for having a voice and speaking up.
Thank you. I'm hopeful that there's a lot of smart people out there. And I think in my note, the tone was like, hey, we trust you. Just remember us and don't bury us. We're the American dream. And I'm hopeful that, like, Trump's going on in 30 minutes, 11:30 Eastern, to speak. Hopefully there's some good news about the textile industry. Bessent came on and said, hey, we're not trying to bring low manufacturing jobs back. And he mentioned the textile industry specifically, but then he kind of goes on to say, well, it's caught in the crosshairs, which really was frustrating for me, because then don't hurt us if it's not part of the objective. But so I'm hopeful we'll be all right. Like we have a good plan, like on the worst case scenario, but it just is like something that is no fun to go
and
through.
You have a great brand and a great product. I love your products. It starts with a great product. You've built a great brand. And I'm personally very optimistic for the future of Hexclad and me. I'm very bummed about a lot of what's going on right now. And I want to be optimistic for you too, because I think you've built something really special. I mean, you're a pioneer. Like Cuts is a pioneer. You really are. Like where Lululemon and people like that may have been around before, they were an D2C, like athleisure. Like if I'm describing it properly, that's just the way I think of it, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you're a pioneer, and you deserve to continue to grow and be successful. What you've done, I hope everyone's seen it, and I'm really hopeful for you, dude. I really am, and I really care about you. So. I hope that people got something out of this little Love Fest chat. Let's talk soon. Okay, brother?
Love you, Jason. Talk to you soon.
All right. Be good, man. Thanks.